Guys, this one is super crazy. I don't even know how to start this one. Let's watch.
Let me walk you through what just happened, because if you're not paying close attention, you may have missed the most corrupt thing a sitting president has done in modern American history. Earlier this year, Donald Trump sued the IRS. He demanded $10 billion from the federal government over the leak of his tax returns back in 2019. Think about just that for a second. The president of the United States sued his own government for $10 billion in his personal capacity. Here's where it gets worse. The Justice Department was supposed to defend the government against that lawsuit, but of course the Justice Department works for Donald Trump. So Trump's personal lawyers were negotiating against Trump's own Justice Department in a case where Trump controls both sides. And the federal judge in Florida, no less, saw exactly what was happening. She ordered both sides to come into the court and explain whether they were actually opposing each other or whether they were just colluding to hand Trump a payout. That deadline was this Wednesday. So today, Monday, Trump's lawyers made their move. They dismissed the lawsuit. They told the judge that no judicial analysis is appropriate. They cut the judge out of the process altogether. And in exchange, the Justice Department announced a $1,776,000,000 fund. Note the number, 1776, a wink to the founding of the country, attached to what I would call a scheme that I think the founder...
Look, you just watch this. He sued itself. He settled with himself. It cut the judge out so that she could not ask any questions. And then he set up a fund which $1.8 billion of your money is handed to 5 people he picked and told them do whatever you want. Nobody's going to check. Basically, it's that. And the number they choose, it's on your face. Comfortable they are. They're not hiding it from you. They put the joke in the number.
Would have been apoplectic about.
Right.
The money is going to be controlled by 5 people, all handpicked by Trump's attorney general. They can pay out claims to anyone who says they were a victim of so-called weaponization by the Biden administration. God. And that includes the January 6th defendants that Trump pardoned. It could include entities tied to Trump himself. And this commission has no obligation to disclose how it makes the decisions. The Justice Department said Trump and his sons won't be paid directly. They'll just get an apology. But entities associated with the Trump family are not explicitly barred from filing claims. You know, we have tried to stop it. And unfortunately, Trump's lawyers are going to do whatever Trump wants, no matter how corrupt, no matter how unethical. Let me say very plainly what just happened. Donald Trump sued himself. He is settling with himself. He cut the judge out, and he's setting up a $1.8 billion slush fund of your taxpayer dollars to pay off his political allies without any court oversight, without any congressional approval or transparency. My Republican colleagues can't be bothered to do oversight. Never in the history of the U.S. has a sitting president sought a monetary settlement from the government he leads. This is the federal treasury being converted into a slush fund for Trump. And every American who pays taxes is the one who's funding it. Congress has to act. This is completely out of control.
And they are still taking from all of us, still setting up funds, still cutting the judge out, still finding ways to get more. When enough is enough? I don't know. You drop in the comments what do you think of this situation, because it's getting crazy. And the part that really gets me is while all of this is happening, right, while 1.8 billion is being moved into a fund with no oversight whatsoever, they are cutting food stamps, they are cutting Section 8, they are cutting welfare, they are cutting welfare, they are telling normal people there's no money. It's like it's a choice. It's a choice that is being made by this side. And when you cut food for working families and then you find 1.8 billion for your friends, that's corrupt to the core.
Guys. So Trump is about to use $10 billion of your money to pay himself. If you're sitting back wondering how on earth could this possibly happen, let me explain to you how this racket works. You see, a couple months ago, he sued the government for allegedly leaking his tax returns. Now, when this happens, there's typically negotiations for a settlement. So Trump sued the government, which means that the person that he's negotiating with for a settlement is the government. Now,
Yeah,
who runs?
it's crazy. You know, you sue the government. You are the president, right? So the president lawyer works for you. You sit on both sides of the table and you say, hey, I want $10 billion. Then you put up your president hat, right? And you say, okay, I will sign the checks. That is not a legal system, okay? That is a vending machine. You put the lawsuit in, money comes out, and the rest of us are just watching this.
The government. So the person that he's negotiating with is himself. Trump says he wants $10 billion. He then goes and puts on his president hat and says, okay, I'm going to sign that check. That's where your money is going, folks. At a time in which he says he's got no money for child care, no money for health care. Yeah. Inflation is going through the roof. Energy bills are up more than 13%. This man, seriously, is about to spend $10 billion on himself. Anytime these stupid Republicans say that Trump's not making a salary, it's because he's setting up a racket to pay himself 25,000 times the presidential salary. This is corruption personified, the heist of the century, and the Republicans are just sitting on their knees, barking like seals, clapping, saying, yes, sir, to the most blatant
corruption. So when you hear he's not getting the money, what you are actually hearing is we wrote the rules, right? So we can get the money without his name next to the check, but it's the same outcome. Cleaner paperwork, but the money is theirs. And I want to ask you a real question here. If you or I try this, if you sue your employer, right? And then sat in the office as the person negotiating the settlement on both sides, what do you think would happen? Right? Drop on the comments. Let me know. What do you think would happen? Man, this is so unfair.
News is so outrageous that calm is just not possible. Today we witnessed what I would call the greatest abuse of our legal system in history. It rises to the level of a criminal conspiracy between the president and the Justice Department. Let me explain. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. I told you last week about the sham lawsuit that Donald Trump filed against the IRS, seeking $10 billion in damages. The judge handling the case suspected the lawsuit was a farce, so she appointed a team of independent legal experts to evaluate the merits of the case. They all agreed that it's nonsense and it should be thrown out. But before the court could toss the case, Trump's lawyers moved to dismiss it voluntarily. Why? Because Trump reached a settlement agreement with the Justice Department, which he controls. Todd Blanche announced the settlement this morning. Here's what it does. It uses taxpayer money to create a nearly $1.8 billion slush fund for Trump's allies and supporters. They are calling it
The Justice Department is supposed to defend the public. I already said that, but the problem is, in practice, the Justice Department works for him. They work for the president. Congress, you know what, they don't care. And the judge just got cut off. So what I see here is this man suing itself. This is insane. How people are not seeing this. He's suing itself, settling with himself, taking your money, and telling you it's an apology, right? It's not a payment. I don't get it. People don't see anything wrong with this.
Weaponization fund. According to Blanche, the purpose is to compensate victims of lawfare and weaponization. The fund will have the power to issue both formal apologies and monetary relief. The fund will have 5 members who are appointed by the Attorney General and can be removed by the President. These 5 people have...
This is a slush fund, okay? You have taxpayer money there controlled by 5 people. 0 oversight. Come on.
Total discretion to give this money, our money, to anyone they choose, with no oversight, no transparency, and no public input. I don't say this lightly. This is straight up criminal. By approving this settlement, the acting attorney general has agreed, at the president's request, to dip into the U.S. Treasury, where our tax dollars are held, and give away our money to people who have no legal right to it. This is a theft of our property. It is a fraud on the American people. It is a criminal conspiracy at the highest levels of our government. As the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche is entrusted with defending the United States against frivolous lawsuits. He has a fiduciary duty to protect taxpayer money from false and fraudulent claims. He has abdicated that duty. He has betrayed the American people. He has betrayed his oath to uphold the Constitution. This is the type of thing we should be protesting in the streets. I know it's exhausting, but our democracy is depending on us to keep it afloat. Please call your elected reps.
Let me ask you this. If you have this amount of money, right, what would you do with it? Would you use it for childcare, healthcare, lowering prices, housing, something that helps normal people? Or would you just do it like this? Cut the judge, hand it to your friends and call it an apology? Let me know in the comments, right? I want to know what you really think about this, because this one is